Hi, my name is Clement with Metastock. Today I'd like to talk to you about market profile. Market profile is a unique form of charting that helps you understand the trading activity and price action of the market. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at market profile. So as I mentioned, the market profile is a unique way of looking at and understanding price action on the market. So really what we're going to be talking today about is trading activity and the action of the market. So a lot of times I get asked, well, what is market profile? Well, over here on the right, you can see an example of what market profile is. It's actually a series of letters that form a chart. Now, you're not actually looking at price here. What you're actually looking at is price action across time. And that'll make more sense as we go through the presentation. So let's talk about a few things here first. So the inventor of market profile is a gentleman named J. Peter Stottlemyre. He actually developed market profile for the Chicago Board of Trade years ago. And it has fast become a very popular method of understanding price action on the market. So let's talk a little bit about what market profile is. Let's get into the nitty-gritty here. So what we're trying to understand, first of all, is what is the action of the market. Second is where the most important prices of the day are. And then finally, how price and time correlate at certain times of the day. So as we pull all that together, you'll understand how that forms into the chart. So let's first talk about standard candles or standard bars. It doesn't matter, whatever it may be. So if I'm looking at a standard candlestick here, so typically we have our open and we have our close. Now most traders understand the way that normal candlesticks work. The problem we have and the problem that market profile is trying to solve is you can't really see where prices focus during the day. Let's just say, for example, we're talking about 12 noon to 12:30. So we'll take a half-hour segment of the market. If I look at this candle and it's a half-hour candle from 12 to 12:30. Well, I can see that that candle was up, so I know that price went up and it moved in an upward direction. But I can't tell you how long price stayed at a certain intersection of that candle. Let's say right here, I can't say, well, for 10 minutes of that candle, that was a very focused time for a certain price. And that's where market profile comes into play. So as we look at the PowerPoint here, so market profile gives us what's called a time price opportunity. So it's an opportunity created by the market at a certain time and a certain price. And that's a very big crux and a very big word that's used a lot with market profile is that TPO or time price opportunity. So again, just to reiterate what we just talked about in that last slide, if I look across time here, I can't tell what at a certain price where that would stay. It doesn't focus on that time. And that's where market profile helps. So let's go in and let's talk about market profile and how it's constructed and how you can understand what it does. So first of all, market profile is only available in a few select time frames. So it's not like a standard chart where you can go 1 minute, 30 minute, 60 minute, 90 minute. It only has a few select time frames that you can do, and these are hard coded in as part of market profile. So first of all, you can do a 5 minute, a 30 minute, daily, weekly, or monthly. The most common is going to be a 30 minute time frame, and that's what we'll focus on today. You can get into other time frames as you advance in it, but the main one to start with is a 30 minute time frame. So let's get into what all these letters mean and how they come across on a chart. So the first thing you'll notice over here, I am looking at 30 minute. So again, we have all these letters going across, and we want you to understand what those mean. So each segment, each letter represents a segment of time. So for example, a capital A equals 8 a.m. to 8:29. So you get about a 29-minute segment, and then at the next segment, 8:30 to 8:59, it rolls to a B. and so on and so forth throughout the day. So capital letters are typically day session, and if you're trading futures, you get into the small letters, and those will actually represent the overnight session. So if I look at this chart right here, I can see that A was my opening time. B was the half hour after that. So it moves you throughout the day. So that way you can help understand it. Now, if you're looking at the different time frames, each time frame may have different letters that start the day. So as we get into the chart and actually look at market profile, you'll understand this a little bit better, that each one can actually help you understand the time. And I'll show you how to use that. Okay, so let's actually talk about a chart and the way that it's constructed here. So again, what we're looking at is we're actually looking at each of these letters, and then across the side you'll see price. So as I look at this, I can see that multiple times throughout the day my price was at 24, 30, 40 over here on the side. So I can see a lot of instances of that. So let's actually go into a market profile chart for a moment, so where we can actually hover over the letters. You can see how this kind of pulls into time. So what I'm going to do is just switch gears here for a moment, and I'm going to pull up a chart in Metastock Zenith. So the way that I put a market profile chart onto this is I actually come in here, I select Analysis, I scroll down and I find Market Profile. So right here is my market profile. I select what instrument I would like to use it on. So in this circumstance, I'm going to use it on the E-mini. So futures you can use stocks, you can use it on practically anything, but the main thing is just know what you're looking at when you select it. So A period, so you're actually selecting when we want our A period to be. Now remember, that's typically designated as the start of the market. So 8 a.m. is what we have as our starting period. You can change that to whatever you would like it to be. The TPO color mode, so that's the time price opportunity. That's just a quick setting there. I'd recommend leaving it as the CBOT colors. And then we'll set it as the 30-minute. Now once I've selected all that, I just choose Add and then choose Close. And then it'll bring me into my chart. So now you can see this a little more clearly now. So now I can hover over each of these different times, and it will show me what I'm looking at for the specific period. So this V here is from 6:30 to 6:59. And then if I were to go look for a capital A, I could find that and see the start time. So you can hover through these and see all this. Now, where this starts to get important for us as traders is if I'm trading something and I want to know at what price it was most heavily traded during the day, I can come in here and I can say, okay, 24.7150 was the most important segment of the day. That's where a lot of pricing happened across the day. So that's one of the big important parts of market profile, is just understanding where that pricing is happening during the day. Now, how can you use that? We'll get into that in just a second. So let's just jump back to the PowerPoint for just a second, because the next part of this chart is actually over here on the left-hand side. So you'll see this set of numbers going from 11 up to 24 and then going back down. Now, what is happening there, and we can see this on our chart that we're actually looking at today, is the green bar over here highlights it, but what you're seeing is the number of opportunities at that price. So if I say 21 right here, that's my TPO count, or my time price opportunity count. So the highest value, the most traded value of the day was that 24.7150. So this green bar over here that looks like a candle and has a little box right here is actually marking the highest one of the day. So I can just visually quickly look and see that right here, this is my highest time price opportunity of the day at that 24.7150. Okay, so now how can we use that? Let's get into that just a little bit here. Okay, so you'll notice those charts kind of look like a bell curve. They kind of have this shape where they'll recede in, belly out, and then come back in. So we get that bell shape. Now, how that helps us is, what you'll see is at the top, we have an unfair high is what it's called. Then we get into value pricing and unfair low. So if we move that back onto our chart, we can kind of see here as we get into the higher pricing, there's not as much action. We get into value pricing, there's a lot more action. And then down at the bottom, unfair low. Well, how does that relate to us as traders? Well, this is something that's taught by Mr. Steidelmeyer, is how to use this is you actually will use this to understand if you should be getting into a trade. Now, one of the most important things he says is this is not a trading system. It's not designed to tell you when to buy and sell. It's designed to be a confirmation, so you can use it as a confirmation for your trades. So if I'm a trader and let's say I have a long signal today, well, we can look at the chart and we can say, well, in this area right here, I have fair price. At the bottom, I have smaller, I don't have as much action going into it. So if I'm looking to go long, down here would be my better opportunity to buy so price can move back up. Because that's what we want. We want to buy low and sell high, right? That's always the big thing. So if I'm buying long, if I have a long signal, I would wait for my price to come down into that area that we call, again, the unfair low, because it's good for long-term buying. So that helps you get in at that better price. So you can start to see how it's a confirmation to your trade rather than just a quick getting you in at the wrong price. So as we get into fair price, well, if most of the pricing sits at that, are you going to get as good as value when you go to sell? Probably not, because you didn't get in at the at the good for the long-term buying price. Opposite on the upside, if you are going short, this would be the area where you'd want to go short rather than down here, because you want to use this as your exit opportunity. So you can use market profile to help you in trading confirmations. Okay, so again, as I just said, market profile is a decision support tool, not a trading system. And that's something very important to keep in mind as you're using it in a confirmation system. Okay, so there's other aspects of market profile. Let's hold off on those for just a moment. And let's just go back to our chart for just a moment and look at the current example here. So you can see the bell curve here. So here is where a lot of our value pricing is. This is where we get that value pricing. Here's our value for sellers, and here's our long-term buying opportunities down here. So again, if I'm looking for a trade, let's say I'm looking for a long trade, again, it's probably going to be down here in this area rather than in the main crux of the bell curve, because that doesn't give us that good opportunity. Okay, so that's kind of the main aspect of market profile. So let's just talk about a few of the other things here. Actually, let's just go down to a 5-minute for a moment and see if it looks any different on our bell curve. So you can see a little bit more here. This one's a little more pronounced. You can see here's our A section of the day. So that was our open. And then we go through the day. And you can see how we get that bell curve. Now, again, remember, value pricing, good for the long-term buyer, good for the long-term seller. So that's what you want to keep in mind as you're going through it. So just to jump back over here, again, this is our value area. This is where the most price action was. So that's where a lot of the pricing spent was done on the day right there. So percentage of price at time. So you can turn on this additional histogram within market profile. And what it does is it tells you, it kind of gives you a match into your letters here. So if I come over to this bar right here and I look for the white, so you can see white right here, and that matches our F and our Q. So our Q, I should have grabbed the time there for what that was in this example, but whatever time that was, you can see price spent a fair bit of its time right there. So of these different bars, it really spent a lot of time right there during that particular bar. So it can help you kind of narrow in on specific times as well. So that way, if you're focusing on a certain time of trading in your trading day, you can look at this histogram to understand where that time is. So if you're looking for a time-based opportunity, that's where it would be, which again relates back to exactly what market profile is. So just to kind of do a last comparison here, what you can do is you can actually look at this versus a chart. So again, in our chart over here, we can't focus in on a specific price and how long it's stayed there. So again, if I'm looking at 24.40 here on the right, I can't come into this candle and go, well, how long, how much time did it spend there? Is that an important time? That's where you can come over and pull in the market profile and pull in and really zoom in and understand and use it as a confirmation to help you in your trading. Now in this video, obviously we haven't been able to cover everything about market profile. This video is a great introduction to market profile and how it works. But if you'd like to learn more about market profile, there's actually a book that's put together by the CME that's about 400 pages long, and you can actually go through that book for free. I'll actually put a link to it below this video so you can actually click on it and go through that book. And it gives you a very in-depth guide to how market profile works. Now, if you're interested in trying market profile, one of the things you can do, it's just an add-on to Metastock Zenith. It's a $60 a month add-on. So if you have Metastock Zenith, it's just an add-on to that. If you need Metastock Zenith, give us a call and we can talk to you about that as well. I'll put some information below on how to get hold of us. And you can try out our version of market profile. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video and taking time, and good luck in your trading.